Welcome back to the IU427 garage, everybody. Today I am working on the King's Cobra. I'm working on a bunch of different stuff. I've got to finish up all of the weather pack connectors for the headlights, the tail lights, the marker lights. I'm hoping to get all the final wiring done for our turn signal switch. I'm working on the trunk struts today. I'm actually working on those right now. And then, I don't know, we'll see how things go. I might even start the carpeting, but come right back. We'll see where I'm at. I'm here at the back of the car and I'm working on the trunk struts. Now, I sourced the trunk struts on my own. I did not purchase these from Factory 5. The owner did not purchase these from Factory 5. If you want to source them yourself, you're going to save about half. And that's not even including the shipping, because shipping has gotten out of hand, not just for Factory 5, but for all of us who ship things. And you know, sometimes a $10 or a $20 part will cost at least that much to ship. The prices that Factory 5, you know, charges for their shipping, that's their business, but understand they've also got the people that are packaging it. They have packing material and all that other stuff that has to be, you know, kind of absorbed in the cost. So that's one of the reasons that their shipping prices might be higher than some others. I think I sourced these for $30. So I was about $22 for the two struts, a pair of them, and then all of the hardware. Now keep in mind, I got enough hardware because I purchased the hardware in bulk to do 4 sets of these. So you can take my hardware cost of $10 and kind of divide it by 4, and that brings the cost of a strut kit down to about $24, $25. So here's what I've got, and I'm using all of the mounts that Factory 5 provides. So basically what I bought these 10mm studs that allow you to hook up the strut to the back of the hinge, and I bought some 90-degree strut mounts that mount to the back tube. And you've got to be very careful when mounting these that you put them in a position that the roll bar will still slide down in place. Now, it is going to cause some interference with your 5-point harness strap, but that's just kind of the way it is. There's really no other way to mount this in here. I did see some other brackets for the struts that mount them a little bit narrower, but the problem is then they'd be closer to where the strap comes through the back wall of the cockpit, and so I didn't think that would be like any better. So I've got this forward mount and I've got the mount on the hinge on this side, but I'm going to give you a little tip, especially if you're installing these before the body goes on, because honestly they're easier to put on before the body goes on. So you can get all this in place. And then while you're doing your pre-fitting, turn your hinge. You can see how I've got the hinge now. And that's the strut at full extension. So it's easy to put on at this point because you can, there's no pressure on it. You can take this and twist it all the way in like this, and then put your strut on in this position, And then once it's on, just grab the hinge and pull it back around. And now it's in its final resting position. And you might find that you're even able to mount your trunk deck lid to the hinge in this position. Normally when I've done this with Jeff Miller, we always mount the trunk deck lid so there's no pressure on the hinge, because sometimes you end up fighting it as you're trying to adjust it. It's just easier to adjust when there's no pressure coming back at you. But if you want, before you basically take your car in and have the body put on it, the painters for the final time, just take your hinges, put them like this, pop the struts off, and just leave them in the trunk so that when you're done, you can pull them out to this position and then just snap your struts on. Now you will have to compress the strut, probably about 3 or 4 inches to get it to lock on, but that's still much easier than having to drill and rivet those forward mounts after the fact. If you look back at the video for the Texas car, the prototype, we ended up going with a different trunk strut kit simply because I didn't want to have to crawl in the trunk to drill those holes. So it worked out fine, but this is probably the best position the trunk struts can be in, because when they're at rest down here, there's no pressure on the actual trunk deck lid. It's not trying to like tear itself apart to hold shut. It's not going to bow up and those types of things, because that strut's at 90 degrees of the hinge. And so all the forward pressure is against the hinge, not against the trunk deck lid. So keep all those things in mind. And then, this is the other thing I'm working on. I went upstairs to get all of my templates, because I have templates. I keep templates for all this stuff. Now, of course, when we get a Mark V in here, I'm going to have to change all my templates, because I'm sure the structure of the trunk has changed. But these are my Mark IV templates, which is the current Mark IV, so that it makes carpeting easier for me. So I make a panel for this upper section of the trunk because it's much easier to carpet that. Basically what I'll do is I'll cut a piece of heat and sound mat in that same pattern, and I'll adhere the carpet to the heat and sound mat and stick it to the panel all at once. I will make this panel out of aluminum, so it'll be just like all the other panels in the trunk, but it just helps because it's all one flat surface. And you can see it's notched up there for the forward strap for the 5-point harness, and it's notched right here so it'll go past the roll bar. And I had another one of these, and I said in a Facebook post, I hate moving. If I had it all to do over again and I could do it, the ideal situation, I wouldn't have moved twice. I wouldn't have moved down here to the other shop and then moved to Oklahoma. I would have just done it all at once. But, circumstances as they were, this made the most sense. So when all my stuff got packed up, I was very careful to mark every box. And I went up to my template box and I couldn't find that piece. Now, it could be that template is in the bottom of the carpet remnant box. And I just didn't feel like going through the entire box of carpet remnants to find whether or not it was in there or not, because anytime you pull anything out of that box, those black little hairs just get everywhere. I didn't feel like dealing with the shop here in the shop because I haven't gotten to carpet yet. At that point, I may be in that box for something else. I'll look for it then. It was just simpler to make a new piece. And I made this one just a little bit different than the last one. I think it's going to work out better for me in the long run. But I did find my other trunk pieces, my other trunk templates. So this template here is for this piece right here. So it fits right there. And we'll do the same thing. First we'll cut a piece of heat and sound mat and a piece of carpeting. We'll glue those two together and it'll all go in as one over that. And this fits on either side. And so does this one. So this piece fits on either side. This piece is for this section right here. And if you look, see it's short of the top and of the side. And that's just so that all of the bulb seal will be able to go back on or go on the car without interfering with the carpet. And so we just hold it back a little bit so that everything kind of goes in place when the trunk is all completed. So that's where I'm at on kind of everything in the trunk right now. If you guys don't have a scrap piece of DOM laying around, just grab your rear mount for your roll bar and use that as your guide to see how far over you can get that forward mount for the trunk struts. And then, you know, once you're done, obviously pack it back up and keep it safe so it doesn't get all boogered up before you're ready to install it for the final time. But that'll give you a pretty good idea of how these trunk struts go in. And I just used 3/16 pop rivets in the front. You know, I didn't see an advantage of using like a self-tapping screw or anything, because I think in the long run, the self-tapping screws would probably work themselves loose, where the pop rivets, if they start to loosen up, you can just drill them out one at a time and put new pop rivets in, and it'll stay secure again. The hardest part of this with the body on is marking and drilling the holes the first time. So if you've already got them drilled, replacing, you know, a pop rivet here and there down the line isn't a big deal. You can just kind of crawl in the trunk and do that. But so those are all done for now, and then we're probably going to move on to headlights, taillights, marker lights, and get those all ready, and then maybe even test some of that stuff. So I'll probably bring you back tomorrow, and we'll be working on that electrical stuff. All right, turns out I had more time today than I thought I did. So I don't know if I'd shown these in a previous video or not, but I'd done these a while back. So all of the weather pack connectors on the four corners of the car, I did probably a month or so ago. I had an evening, and I figured I would just take care of these and get them done. So for instance, the one here on the back right corner is done. I did add a little strap. Those are the little fasteners that the car owner provided with his kit when he delivered it down here. And then I did the same thing over here on the driver's side. So the strap is in, the connector's on. Same thing in the front. And what I did in the front, because I used all 3-pin connectors, is I made the connectors different. So for instance, in the headlights, I used a female connector, plastic connector, but I used female weather pack terminals inside. On the parking lights and turn signals, I used a female plastic connector, but I used male pins inside. So they can only go in one way. You're not going to get them to jam in, you know, female to female and male to male on the terminal. So they're somewhat foolproof. In the back, it's self-explanatory. They only go in the way I basically wired them. But I did go ahead, and this afternoon I added, see if I can get this open with one hand. I already packed them up, and I thought, oh, I better grab the camera and show everybody that I did put the connectors on. So on the LED taillights, I went ahead and added a weather pack connector. I may or may not add split loom to this. Probably will, because that's how anal retentive I am on this stuff. But I also did the front marker / turn signal lights. So you can see inside the plastic, I've got a weather pack connector on there too. So these are all ready to go. The only thing I have left to add connectors to are the headlight buckets. So I'll go ahead. I don't know if I'm gonna have time. It's still light outside, but it's already getting late. It's 4 o'clock or so. So I'm probably gonna try to get those done before dinner, but I don't know that I'm gonna pick the camera back up. So if I don't, then just know they either got done if I don't show them to you, or I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow and show you that I did indeed get them done. I think I'm gonna work on getting the turn signal switch wired in so I can kind of do a full systems check. We don't have a heater, we don't have seat heaters in this, we don't have wipers. So really, for the most part, our electric has been, you know, tested. The only thing we have left is the lights. So I'll probably plug all those connectors in, go through a quick systems check, make sure everything's working. I did put the electronic flasher in for the turn signals, so we're good there. I'm gonna remind you guys again, you do not need an electronic flasher for the hazard lights. It'll work just fine with incandescent bulbs in the front and the two LED taillights, it'll flash just fine. Now if you add LED light bulbs in the front into the existing light fixtures, that may change things, and you may have to put that second electronic flasher in, but you don't need it if you're just going to run the incandescent light bulbs in the front, which is what I tend to do, because to me it just works better. That way the flasher, even though it's electronic, doesn't flash so fast. That gets irritating to me. So I keep the LED light bulbs just in the back, and I put regular incandescent light bulbs in the front. So I will catch up with you guys all tomorrow. All right, it is, it's a few days later. I'm working on a couple of different things at the same time, so some of this is going to overlap in a couple videos. So if you've seen this before, just know that I'm working on two at a time. We talked about the side panels, the front side panels for the trunk. I've got those fabricated and they're in. And so, as you can see, I've already got carpet in here too, but ignore that for now. So I've got the panel on this side and the panel on this side in, and so now I'll use my template when I get ready to put those pieces of carpet in. I'll cut out a piece of carpet in that same shape, and we'll get carpet there, and we'll get carpet over there. And the rest of the trunk obviously will get carpeted as well. I'm also working on the final remnants of the electrical throughout the car, and I did finish up the headlight buckets. So I've got them now with weather pack connectors on the end. So what I'll probably do tomorrow night is I'll come out here, I'll put headlight bulbs in each of the buckets, hook them up to the chassis electric in the car, and then I'll temporarily put the dash in and connect it, temporarily connect my turn signal switch, which is completely wired now. So you may have seen previously where I had these connectors right here for the turn signal basically put in. I've now got the one on the turn signal itself, which is right here, completed. And so now it's just a matter of plugging this in and making sure that all the functions of the turn signal work properly, and then the turn signal switch itself will go in when the dash goes in for the final time. So that's where I'm at tonight on all of those kind of nitpicky little things that I've been working on in this video. So I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. All right, it's the next day. We're going to do a systems check on all of our lights. So we're going to check our headlights, our brake lights, our turn signals, and our hazard lights, along with our parking / clearance lights, whatever you want to call them. So I always find that you want to start this with a win. And generally that win is always to turn on the parking lights. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull the headlight switch one click, and we'll turn around and we'll look. And sure enough, we've got a front parking light there, a front parking light there. I did put the one back here up on a spring clip so we could see it. So when we check our brakes, we're sure that our brake lights are going to work. And then we've got this one over here as well. Generally speaking, your hazard lights are going to be the next easiest win. Since they all go through one switch, a 2-pole toggle switch, they should be the easiest next. So if you remember, we mounted our hazard light switch here above our headlight switch. We've fabricated a panel here, so it's all behind the dash. I've got some stuff in the way now, but you can see it's really easy to get to, even when you're in the seated position in the car. So go ahead and leave your parking lights on, because you want to make sure that you haven't miswired anything. All of the lights should be on the low setting. So in the back, the parking lights are obviously dimmer than the brake lights, and the front parking lights are dimmer than the turn signals. So you want to go ahead and make sure the parking light's on, and then hit your switch. We can see flashy on the back. We can even see over in the corner of the shop, they're flashing back there. So we know that back one's working. And on the front, we've got some flashing going on the front, on both sides. So we're good there. It doesn't seem like any of our lights are miswired. Now that's going to help to confirm when we do our turn signal test that all of them are going to stay the same. They should. If they're not, then something is seriously wrong with your wire harness that you've got in your car. The next thing we're going to check are the headlights, and this is where I ran into trouble. I went ahead and I turned the headlights on, and I had no headlights on the front. Now, when I pulled our high beam switch, the headlights came on. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange because they go through a relay, and when the relay is closed, it should send power to the front headlights, and it didn't. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show you that they do work now. So I turn the switch on, and you can see we've got the headlight on here, we've got the headlight on over there. Now I'm going to take the switch that's in our turn signal switch, which is right here. I'm going to pull it, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to turn the headlight high beam indicator on the gauge, and our headlights have gone to bright now. So you can see they're quite a bit brighter. So what I found is that when I turned the headlight switch on, again, it wasn't getting power that was feeding through on what is the normally closed side of the contact switch. And I broke my own rule, and I used a relay that I found in the box of parts that the car owner included with the kit. And I saw that it was made by KC Lights, and I thought, well, it's got to be a fairly good quality switch. But looking at it and now feeling it in my hand, it is not a high quality switch. Maybe KC has gone into some cost savings when they give you a relay with your lighting kit. I don't know what this came from, but it was in the box of parts from the car owner. And generally, I use contactors made by a company called Songle. I've just had tremendously good luck with those. There are other good quality switches made by Bosch. And then, what's the other one that we like to use? Tyco. Tyco sells good relays too. It's TYCO. And I've never had issues with any of those relays, but this one, for whatever reason, did not want to engage or close the contact on a no power situation for the headlights to feed through to the low beams. So I replaced the relay with one I had here in the shop, brand new one, and everything works fine now. The last thing that we're going to check are the turn signals. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn the parking lights on. I'm going to go ahead and turn the ignition switch to the first position, because the turn signals only work in the run position. They do not work in the accessory position. That's just the way they're wired. So we're going to turn it to run, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to check each of the turn signals left and right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on the parking lights. We're going to turn the switch here to the run position. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn our turn signal to what is going to be a left turn. You can hear the flasher flashing, making flashy noises, and our turn signals are flashing. So now we're going to turn it to the off and then on to the right. And I think we're going to see that we've got flashing over there. You can see it kind of lighting up the rail of the garage door opener. Oh, you can see it in the whiteboard over there too. And then it's flashing up here. So we're all good. The last thing that we're going to check out of all of this is the horn. Now, we've replaced the horn in here. These aren't the Factory 5 supplied horns. These are quite a bit louder, or the horn, because it's one unit. We use the bad boy horn from Wallow. And you don't want to do this while your wife is in the shop, because it's going to honestly scare the living crap out of her, but that's it. So we pull the turn signal switch, the turn signal stalk, towards the driver, and that's what engages the horn. There's already a relay inside the Ron Francis harness, which is located in the fuse box assembly here, and that's what triggers the horn. And you can tell this thing is plenty loud. It's also got a nice kind of English sports car sound to it, so it fits with the car rather than the horns that are supplied with the kit that sound like, you know, a 90s Crown Victoria. So I think that's going to do it for all of the stuff that we had planned for this video. I'm still working on the carpeting, but you guys will catch up with me on the carpeting for the next video. So if you're enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.